Hello all, welcome to EC Electronics. Hope you are doing great. So in today's video, we are going to see some interview questions on transistors. Transistors is considered as one of the basic components that we use with every circuit. So it is one of the basic elements in electronics itself. So let's see about transistors. Let's see some basic questions about transistors. Okay. So if you are seeing the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. The first question we are going to see is, a transistor has dash PN junctions. So transistor, now you can see the symbol on the screen. Transistor has two PN junctions is there. There are three basic parts or elements in a transistor, which is emitter, base and collector. So there are three elements, and connecting these three elements, there are two junctions, two PN junctions. Okay, so the transistor can be either NPN or PNP. Whichever way it is, there are two junctions formed. Okay, so there are two PN junctions in a transistor. That is the answer for the first question. The number of depletion layers in a transistor, again, the number of depletion layers is equal to the number of PN junctions. So when a PN junction is formed, after a point, it starts to deplete. Okay, so if there is two PN junction, means there will be mostly two depletion layers. Okay, now let's see in more detail about various parts of a transistor, that is base, emitter and collector. The base of a transistor is dash doped, whether it is heavily doped or whether it is lightly doped or whether it is moderately doped. The base of a transistor, so it is emitter, base and collector. That is the way it is organized. Now you can see it on the screen. And base is considered to be the part which is connecting the emitter and the collector. And the base is always lightly doped. To make the transport of the carriers easy, the doping of base is always kept as lightly doped, or it is very less doped. Okay, so base is lightly doped. Now the next question is, element that has biggest size in the transistor is dash. So emitter, base and collector. Collector is the largest in size. Base is the smallest in size and emitter is the moderately size or medium size. Okay, so that is the answer for the question, which is the largest size is collector only. Okay, now next question. The collector of a transistor is dash doped. Collector of a transistor, whether it is heavily doped or whether it is moderately doped or whether it is lightly doped. The collector is considered to be moderate. It is not considered to be, it is moderately doped. Okay. So the emitter is the part, from the name itself, it is clear. Emitter is emitting something, right? So it should be heavily doped to emit the carriers. So we consider that transfer of the carriers happens from the emitter, or emitting is happening from the emitter side. So it is always heavily doped. Whereas in the collector side, it is collecting something. Collector means it is collecting something. And the level of doping is moderate. It is not light, it is not heavy, but it is moderately doped. Okay, collector is moderately doped. So these things are the basics when you study electronics subject. If you are in BB Tech and if you are in the first year of your studies, these are the things that you study. Okay, so these things should be known. A transistor is a dash operated device. Very, very important question, because while studying the classification of transistors, we'll study about BJTs, junction field effect transistors, MOSFETs, etc. So the main difference is the mode of operation. So a transistor is dash operated device, whether it is current operated or voltage operated. A transistor is current operated device. But when it comes to FET or field effect transistors, they are voltage operated. Okay. Next question. The emitter of a transistor is dash doped. That is whether it is heavily doped or lightly doped or moderately doped. An emitter of a transistor, we have now discussed this thing you should be knowing. Emitter, it is emitting. So the doping should be high or heavily doped. Okay. Now let's see. The next question is, most of the majority carriers from the emitter, what happens to this majority carriers from the emitter? Whether it recombine at the base? No, the recombination, it doesn't happen in the base side, because base is always lightly doped, right? So the recombination at the base side is very less. Now the second option is recombine at the emitter itself. No, They just start from the emitter, they come to the base side, but the recombination of the base side is very less because base is very lightly doped. And then what happens to these carriers which are coming from the emitter? It passes through the base to the collector. Okay, so emitter, then base and collector. From the emitter, the carriers are or the majority carriers are coming, and when it comes to the base side, very less amount of the carriers get recombined because base is very lightly doped. Then majority of it will reach the collector side. So the answer is it will pass through the base to the collector side. Okay. Next question is what happens to the transistor's base emitter resistance as temperature goes up. I'll read the question. As the temperature of a transistor goes up, the base emitter resistance dash. Okay, base emitter resistance will always decrease when the temperature is increasing. We know the transistor or the silicon, it is generally temperature dependent. Its resistance will vary with the temperature. When the temperature is going high, base emitter resistance will decrease. Okay. The next question is, in a PNP transistor, the current carriers are dash. So it is P, N, P. So there are two P's. P indicate holes. So in a PNP transistor, holes are current carriers. Okay. So the reverse happens in the NPN transistor. When it is NPN, so there are two N's. N indicates electrons. So in an NPN transistor, current carriers are electrons, and in a PNP transistor, current carriers are holes. So with this question, I would like to wind up this video. If you want me to continue with this questions, if you want to go deep down into the configuration of the transistors, classification of the transistors like BJTs, FET, etc., and the difference or differentiation between them. If you want more questions from this area, please do mention in the comment section. We'll do that as a series. And if you're preparing for any of the core company interviews, or for that matter, any competitive examination, you can always make use of these questions for your preparation. And if you found the video useful, please don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching and keep on watching.